You're thinking about saving money, but it feels pointless. I mean, what's 50 bucks a month going to do? Or 100? It's not like it's going to change your life. You're not going to retire on $100 a month. You're not going to buy a house with it. It's just $100. It doesn't feel real. It doesn't feel like enough to matter. So you don't save it. You spend it. Because what's the point? And that feeling, that sense that small amounts of money don't matter, that you need big amounts to make a difference, that's keeping you poor. That's keeping millions of Americans from building wealth. Because the truth is the exact opposite. Small amounts of money matter way more than people think. And over time, those small amounts turn into something that absolutely changes your life. But you have to understand how. You have to see the math, because the math is actually wild. It's actually life-changing. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. And I spend way too much time thinking about this, about why most people fail to build wealth even though they make decent money, and about the one thing that separates people who build wealth from people who stay broke. And I've noticed that it almost always comes down to small, consistent savings. It's not about getting rich quick. It's not about finding some secret investment strategy. It's about saving small amounts consistently over a long period of time and letting compound interest do the heavy lifting. And once you understand how powerful compound interest is, once you see how small savings actually grow, everything changes. You stop thinking, what's the point? And you start thinking, how do I save as much as I can? Let me show you something that's going to blow your mind, or at least it should. Let's say you save $50 a month. That's basically a coffee a day. One coffee. That's it. $50 a month. And let's say you invest it in a standard index fund that returns 7% a year on average. That's historically accurate. That's a reasonable assumption. After 10 years, you'll have $7,540, not from the $50 you saved, but from the investment growth on that $50. After 20 years, you'll have $21,000. After 30 years, you'll have $53,000. After 40 years, you'll have $114,000. $114,000 from $50 a month, from the cost of one coffee a day. And here's what's wild. You only actually saved $24,000 yourself. The other $90,000, that's just money earning money. That's compound interest working for you. That's time turning your small savings into big money. Most people look at that and think, well, that's still not enough to retire on. And you're right, $50 a month isn't going to be your whole retirement. But what if you saved $100 or $200 or $500? $200 a month, 40 years, 7% return. That's almost $500,000. That's a real retirement. That's real wealth. And it came from saving the cost of 2 coffees a day. Okay, so let me explain why this works. Why small amounts turn into big amounts. It's called compound interest, and it's the 8th wonder of the world, according to Einstein. And honestly, I think he was understating it. The basic idea is simple. You invest money, it earns interest, and then the interest earns interest. So your money is growing exponentially. It's not linear. It's not, I save $100 a month, so in 10 years I have $12,000. It's exponential. It accelerates. Year 1, you save $1,200. You earn about $84 in interest. You have $1,384. Year 2, you save another $1,200, but now your previous $1,300 is also earning interest, so you earn more. You earn about $150. You have $14,634. Year 3, you save another $1,200, but now your previous $14,600 is earning interest, so you earn more. You earn about $240. You have $17,074. Do you see? Each year the growth accelerates because you're earning interest on your interest plus your new savings, so the growth compounds. It gets bigger and bigger. And this is the secret. This is why time is so valuable in investing, because the longer you let it compound, the exponentially larger it gets. And here's the kicker. The vast majority of your final number doesn't come from you saving. It comes from compound interest. When you look at that $114,000 from $50 a month over 40 years, 90,000 of it is free money, money you didn't earn, money you didn't contribute, money that time and math created for you. This brings me to the most important insight about small savings, and that's that time is more valuable than the amount of money you save. Starting early with small savings beats starting late with large savings every single time. Person A starts saving $100 a month at age 25. They do this for 10 years. Then they stop saving completely, but they leave the money invested. By age 65, they have about $300,000. Person B doesn't start saving until age 35. They start with $500 a month, way more than Person A ever saved. They do this for 30 years straight. By age 65, they have about $600,000. So Person B saved way more money, $500 a month versus $100 a month. But Person A, who started early and saved for less time, ends up with half as much. Wait, that's not right. Let me recalculate that. Actually, Person B ends up with more, but not as much more as you'd think. Even though Person B saved 5 times as much every month, they only ended up with twice as much. That's the power of time. Person A got 20 years of compound growth on their money. Person B only got 30 years. But Person A's 20 years of early growth turned out to be almost as valuable as Person B's 30 years of later growth. Time is leverage. Time turns small savings into big money. And the sooner you start, the less you actually have to save to reach your goal. This is why I think one of the biggest mistakes people make is waiting. Waiting until they make more money. Waiting until they get a promotion. Waiting until things settle down. Because every year you wait, you lose compound growth that you can never get back. Okay, so let me show you something that should really drive this home. It's a comparison, and it's going to show you how much money you're actually leaving on the table by not saving small amounts. Person A spends an extra $5 a day on coffee. That's about $180 a month. They do this for 30 years, and then they stop. Total spent on coffee, $64,800. But what if they'd saved that $5 a day instead, invested it at 7% returns for 30 years? They'd have $430,000. So by spending $5 a day on coffee, they gave up $430,000 in wealth. $430,000. That's not just the coffee money. That's the compound growth on that money. That's what could have been. And coffee is just one thing. Imagine if you added up all the small expenses, the streaming services, the impulse purchases, the takeout, the subscriptions, the conveniences. That's probably $20, $30, $50 a day. If you saved $50 a day, that's $1,500 a month. That's $18,000 a year. At 7% for 40 years, that's over $3.5 million. $3.5 million. That's not a fantasy number. That's not get-rich-quick nonsense. That's just the math. That's just what happens when you save consistently and let compound interest work. Here's something about saving that's important psychologically. When you save small amounts, when you see your savings account grow, even by a little bit, it creates momentum. You save $50. You see your account go from 0 to 50. It doesn't feel like much, but you see it, and you think, hey, I did that, and it feels good. And then next month, you save another 50, and now it's 100, and the month after, it's 150. And something shifts. You start to feel like you're actually building something. You start to believe that you can do this. You start to see the possibility. And that's powerful. That's more powerful than the actual money, honestly, because that psychological shift is what keeps you going. That's what makes you stick with it. That's what turns saving into a habit instead of something you do once and then quit. I knew someone who started saving just $25 a week. Nothing, just $25. But they tracked it. They watched it grow. And after a few months, they got excited. They realized they could actually do this. So they bumped it up to 50, then 100. And within a year, they were saving $250 a week. And they didn't feel deprived. They felt empowered. That's what small wins do. They build momentum. They build belief. They build the habit. And once you have the habit, once you believe you can do it, the savings become automatic. You don't have to motivate yourself. You just do it. And the money compounds. Here's something else that's important to understand. Consistency matters more than how much you save. Saving $100 a month for 20 years beats saving $1,000 for 5 years, almost every time. Because of compound interest, because of time, the consistent saver wins. Even though they're putting away less money each year, the fact that they're doing it for longer means they end up with more. So if you can't save $500 a month, don't stress. Save $100 or $50 or $25. The amount doesn't matter as much as showing up consistently, as doing it month after month after month, as letting compound interest work over decades. And here's the thing, if you can save $100 a month, you probably can save $110, and next year $120. As your income grows, your savings can grow. But the foundation is consistency. The foundation is just showing up and saving something. And the beautiful thing is that once you've saved for a few years, once you've got some momentum, the power of compound interest starts to overwhelm your own effort. Your money is making more money than you're contributing, and it gets easier. It gets more exciting, because you're not just saving, you're watching your money work for you. Here's something that people who save small amounts discover, and that's that you start to actually prefer the simple life. You cut back on coffee, you cook at home more, you find free entertainment, you buy less stuff, and at first it feels like deprivation, like you're giving something up. But then something interesting happens. You realize you don't actually miss most of the stuff you cut out. The expensive coffee wasn't that much better than the cheap coffee. The restaurant meal wasn't that much better than the home-cooked meal. You were just doing it out of habit. And more than that, you start to realize that the simple life actually feels better. You have less stress, less clutter, less complexity. You have more time because you're not chasing the money to pay for all the stuff. And that quality of life improvement, that's real. That's not something you get by spending more. That's something you get by living more intentionally. And the extra money you save from living simply, that's still compounding. That's still turning into wealth. So you're actually getting richer while your quality of life is improving. You're not sacrificing anything. You're gaining everything. Okay, so here's the part where I want to challenge you. Because I think most people understand the concept of compound interest, but they don't really believe it. Not emotionally, not in a way that changes their behavior. So let me ask you this. What would you do if you knew that saving $100 a month would turn into $1 million over your lifetime? Would you find that money? Would you cut things to make it happen? Of course you would. You'd find it. You'd cut things. You'd make it work. And the math is real. It's not hypothetical. It's absolutely possible. You just have to start. You just have to believe it enough to actually do it. The problem is that most people don't believe it. They think compound interest is some abstract thing that happens to other people, to people with more money, to people who are naturally good at saving, to people who are lucky. But it's not. It's math. It's physics, basically. It works for everyone who actually uses it. The only requirement is consistency. The only requirement is showing up. The only requirement is saving something, even if it's small, and then leaving it alone to grow. So here's what I want you to do. Not eventually, not next month, now. Pick a number. Could be $50, could be $100, could be $500. Pick a number that you can actually save without destroying your life and commit to it for 12 months. Just 1 year. That's it. 1 year of saving consistently. Set it up so the money transfers automatically. You don't even have to think about it. It just happens. And then, in 1 year, look at what you have. Look at the balance. And I promise you, you'll be amazed. Not because the amount is huge. It might be $5,000, $6,000. But because you did it. Because you actually have the money. Because you proved to yourself that it's possible. And then, keep going. Year 2, Year 3, Year 10, and watch what happens. Watch your small savings turn into real money. Watch compound interest do the work for you. Watch yourself build actual wealth. It's not complicated, it's not secret, it's just time and consistency, and it's available to everyone, including you. So here's what I want you to understand. You don't need to be rich to become rich. You don't need to save huge amounts. You just need to save something, consistently, over time, and let compound interest do the heavy lifting. Small savings turn into big money. That's not a motivational slogan. That's math. That's how compound interest works. That's how wealth actually gets built. Not with lottery tickets, not with get-rich-quick schemes, with small, consistent savings over a long period of time. And the best part? It's the most accessible path to wealth. It doesn't require high income. It doesn't require a lucky break. It doesn't require being smarter than anyone else. It just requires starting, and then continuing, and then getting out of the way and letting your money work. So stop telling yourself that small savings don't matter. They matter. They matter enormously. They matter so much that they're probably the most powerful wealth-building tool available to you. So save something. Today, tomorrow, this month. Just start. And then watch how your life changes when you give your money time and compound interest to work. Your future self is watching. Your future self is hoping you make this choice, and your future self will be incredibly grateful when you do. Thank you for thinking through this with me. If this resonated, please share it with someone who thinks small savings don't matter. And let me know in the comments, what's one thing you're going to cut so you can start saving? What's your first number? Thanks for watching.